Next up, joining us all the way from New Jersey, is a pilot in training since the age of 17 and is looking to be licensed later this year. He is an active member of the Experimental Aviation Association and has dedicated himself to encouraging young people to explore an interest in aviation. He is a docent at the New Jersey Aviation Hall of Fame and Museum. He also works to increase the museum's social media presence with the hopes of getting others to see aviation through the lens of history. He also hopes that his TEDx talks will inspire others to follow their passions, even when it seems impossible. Let's give a warm round of applause for Gary Gao and his talk, Be Your Own Pilot.
Raise your hand if you've ever dreamed of becoming an actor, but instead of finding yourself on a stage, find yourself preparing for something like math competitions. All right, so we have some. Raise your hand if you ever dreamed of becoming some pop artist, but convince yourself that playing something like a piano or violin is much more prestigious and will look better on a college application. And forget about becoming a professional athlete. If you're like me, high school is all about picking the right classes and extracurriculars to get you into college. But at the same time, we all have an inner desire to follow a passion that we think is impossible according to our schedule. We tell ourselves that academics and extracurriculars that will shine on a college application are much more important, and subsequently put away this passion project of ours into a box and label the box impossible. We yearn for the follow-through of our passion and the achievement of our golden dream, but it's impossible. How could it be? With all the coursework and extracurriculars that our lofty goal of college demands. For us high schoolers, this attitude is especially important, as we often find ourselves mapping out every minute of our high school lives. We create an academic plan and carefully choose extracurriculars. This means that we don't have time for the passions that make us the happiest. If you're going through one of these feelings, you are definitely not alone. I wanted to be a pilot since I was 8 years old. When I was young, my parents would drive me thousands of miles across the country to visit different airplane museums and air shows. I found a way to make every school project about airplanes. While my friends had posters of their favorite artists on their walls, my walls were plastered with posters of my favorite airplane, the A380. It was undeniable that I was hooked. But while I did have a deep passion for airplanes, I knew that flying as a career was not suitable for me. For starters, it takes me around 2 weeks to adjust to jet lag. Can anybody beat that? Also, the lifestyle of constantly traveling was just not for me. For me, the dream of becoming a pilot, impossible. So by the time I was in high school, it was all academic. That's math competition, APs, SATs. The once great passion for airplanes was reduced to just a few pages of Aviation Weekly before going to bed. Then, the day came. It was March. I had just finished writing a 25-page junior thesis and had a break before the AP season came in. I had some free time, finally, and I immediately made plans to spend the day with my friend. Soon after, we found ourselves at the Sunset Pub, a restaurant just across the street from a private airport. Opportunity knocks only once. You'll never know if you get into the opportunity. This quote perfectly encapsulates the thoughts running through my head that day. It was a life-changing day, a day I'll never forget. I was enjoying a grilled cheese sandwich when I heard the sound of a small plane engine nearby. That sound was coming from a flight school that was just across the street. Minutes later, I found myself standing in front of Cessna 172, an extraordinary aircraft. Did you know that's lighter than my car? Now, my passion for airplanes immediately came back to me. I knew that to find a way to follow this passion of mine, but it's impossible. However, using this brief slot of time that I had, I made the impetuous decision to enroll in flight school. What sealed the deal was when the airport staff told me that I could solo in just a few months. When starting the papers, I took a leap of faith and didn't even think about my packed schedule. Minutes later, I found myself cruising through the sky on my very own airplane. Now, although I barely made it back to the ground in one piece that day, I accomplished something that I thought was impossible and would forever be proud of. At the age of 17, I was probably one of the first people to fly a plane before driving a car. Who knew that parallel parking is harder than landing a plane? With my feet back on the ground, I was hit by the sudden realization that I had to find over 5 hours every week dedicated to both ground school and flying practice. Was I insane? Would this turn out to be impossible? Or could this thing that I thought was impossible actually be possible? Well, as it turned out, these changes that I made to my schedule did not negatively affect my coursework or anything else. Actually, it made it better. For starters, it forced me to strengthen my time management skills, which will only help me in college. Now, for the big question. With my past schedule, how did I manage to find 5 hours every week dedicated to both ground school and flying practice? Well, I happily woke up at 5:30 every morning, never done that before, and used all the time that I had, even during the times in the car or brushing my teeth. I was tired, but I was happy because flying is the best break I can have. Looking back, I could not have been more wrong about my fears and predictions. Flying served as a stress reliever in my busy junior year. It offered me a break from the chaos in the ground to the solace in the sky. The impossible was possible after all. Once flying reinvigorated this passion that I put away in a box and labeled impossible, I was once again hooked. So, what did I do? Well, I took on even more extracurricular activities, all related to aviation. Only a few months after I started flight school, I began volunteering at my local aviation museum and experimental aircraft association, where I made friends with other aviation enthusiasts, and as a docent, I'm able to educate and inspire others to love aviation as much as I do. For years, I abandoned my passion of becoming a pilot, thinking that the turbulence of high school would prohibit me from doing so. I believed that I was powerless. My hectic schedule blew me in a direction that I did not always choose. However, I learned that I was wrong. I realized that I was the pilot in the situation and the only one who could make following my passion possible or impossible. Michael Auster once said, "The bad news is that time flies. The good news is that you're the pilot." So I encourage you all today to be the pilot of your own passion. Thank you very much.